Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jessica Pollock, and I'm going to be presenting this workshop on social penetration theory. This is a builder off of the research presentation that we all would have done last week. And what I hope to do today is to go through social penetration theory again, but then to go through a real-life application as to how we can use this in our daily lives, or how we do use it in our daily lives. You'll excuse the way I'm dressed, but there is a purpose for why I'm dressed this way, so let's get right into it. What is social penetration theory? So Altman and Taylor defined it as the idea that relationships become more intimate over time, and partners disclose more and more information about themselves once they begin to feel comfortable with that person. So as relationships develop, persons communicate from a very superficial level to a more deep and personal level, trying to get to the core of what a person is and how a person feels. They came up with this idea called the onion theory, which is just a snapshot of social penetration, but that we all have layers. We have our superficial layer, things that we're very comfortable sharing with whoever, and then we have those really deep, personal, intimate things about ourselves that persons really need to get to know us in order for us to want to share that information with the wider public. So the idea here essentially within the onion theory is that we want to peel back the layers to get to the core, and people are willing to peel back those layers based on perceived rewards. Now, there's this idea of cost and rewards in relationship development, and this was developed by Thibault and Kelly. And what they defined costs as were the things that turn people away, and rewards are the things that people enjoy. And based on these two principles here, people look at a relationship and they weigh the cost and the reward of sharing information to build on that relationship. So if the reward is greater than the cost, then persons are willing to take that necessary step to build on the relationship. But if the cost is greater, people may say, well, I don't want to start this relationship, I don't want to build on it, and I may even want to terminate the relationship. So based on this perception here now, we have this idea of a real-life application. And I think it's so cool that throughout the 2 semesters that I've been with Liberty University, that I've been able to use some of the context into real life. And social penetration theory is no different. And what I sought to do was to watch a relationship develop over the course of 4 weeks, specifically for this workshop presentation. And that gets into my being for why I'm dressed the way I am. So I am a member of CrossFit 7 Mile here on Grand Cayman in the Cayman Islands. CrossFit 7 Mile. And we have this rule. We have this rule at CrossFit 7 Mile that nobody can come into the gym and not introduce themselves. So if you don't know somebody, you have to introduce yourself to that person. And there is a punishment for it, but the basis of the reasoning why we do this is for people to feel comfortable, for people to just get to know one another, to build our community, and just to kind of break the ice. Typically when you go into normal gyms, people just keep quiet, they keep to themselves, but we really are trying to foster a community of wellness and a community of supporting each other. So we have this thing, you have to introduce yourself to a person that you don't know if they walk through the door. Now, there is a punishment, as I was mentioning, and the punishment is that for every person who doesn't introduce themselves to another person, the entire class will have to do 15 burpees. Now, I'm not sure if everybody knows what a burpee is, so for the purposes of this workshop, I will demonstrate what a burpee is. Please excuse me as I shift the camera. So essentially what you're going to do is you're going to stand up straight, you're going to get down, kick your legs back, here, push up, and clap. So that's a burpee. Now you can imagine that if you have to do 15 of those in a row, non-stop, as fast as you can, it gets kind of painful. And it gets painful really quickly, especially since you've just warmed up and you're getting ready to do another workout. So you want to avoid that like the plague, right? So now to get into this theory and the 4 weeks that I watched a relationship develop. And for the purposes of this video, we are going to call one person Bob. I'm going to call one person Sally. Now, a little bit of context for Bob. He's never done CrossFit before. He's brand spanking new to CrossFit 7 Mile. He has no idea what the movements are. He's just looking for a place that he can work out, he can get a good sweat in, and who knows, maybe form some friendships there. Now, Sally, on the other hand, she's been a CrossFitter for over 2.5 years. She's been coming to CrossFit 7 Mile for 2.5 years. She's level 1 certified. She knows all of the movements. She's what we would call a pro, right? Now, Bob comes to class for the first time, and as normal with CrossFit 7 Mile rituals, every single person introduced themselves. So Sally says, "Hi, my name is Sally." And he says, "Hi, my name is Bob." Interaction finished. Class goes on, everybody works out, everybody stretches, everybody leaves. Great. 2 days later, Bob comes back to class. Sally's there. Bob approaches Sally and says, "Sally, right?" And Sally says, "Yeah." "Bob, right?" And "How you doing?" "Good, thanks." Bob says to her, "Are you from South Africa?" And she says, "Yeah, I am. I'm actually from Cape Town." He said, "How cool. So am I." Interaction finished. Workout, stretch, leave. Now, what I found interesting was that throughout the course of the rest of the 4 weeks that I watched this relationship develop, Bob now, based on that initial interaction, felt that it was okay and that he was comfortable to continue and build on this interaction by trying to form a commonality with Sally. He could tell from her accent that she was possibly from South Africa. So his perceived reward would be that I'll engage her and she will actually be from South Africa and maybe we can build on that. So he approached her, asked the question, yes, they interacted, now they have this commonality, right? So throughout the rest of the time period now, of 4 weeks that I watched this relationship develop, based on that initial interaction and that common thing that they had, Bob continued to build on the relationship and invest in it, as did Sally, because they both have this thing in common, and they continue to share more and more about themselves. So, for example, week 3, I'm watching the interaction. Bob comes in, Sally comes in. "How you doing? How you doing?" "Good, thanks. Good, thanks." Bob says, I'm having a bit of an issue. My legs are really tight. I need to stretch them out. Is there any way that you could show me? So she shows him the thing. She shows him the stretch, and he stretches and whatever else. Now, the basis of this is that Bob and Sally and this initial interaction were able to build on it because they had this common interest. Bob was able to see what the perceived rewards and costs would be. He weighed them, decided that the rewards are going to be greater out of this for me, and they continued to build this relationship. Now, as time went on, you could see that there was a little bit more intimate things happening, not necessarily right to the point where they began a relationship. Sally's actually married, by the way. But Bob was able to share more information with her, how he was feeling outside of the gym. Sally was able to help him with his nutrition, help him to dial it in to where he lost 20 pounds. And that in itself is almost proof that they were continuing to build this relationship, and they were able to get to a little bit more personal information in that Bob was comfortable enough to share, how could I lose weight? This is my goal weight, which typically is something that we don't normally discuss in the beginning of relationships, but Bob was comfortable enough to speak with Sally to build on that. So, just to summarize, persons will build relationships based on perceived rewards and costs. We want to build our relationships starting at a very superficial level. So that very first interaction, hi, introducing yourself, is something so easy and simple to us, but it's the basis of interactions. And then weighing those costs and rewards to be able to build on those relationships, to further it, to make it a little bit more intimate, a little bit deeper, and a little bit less superficial, to where we get to learn more about each other and build on those relationships. I really hope that you have enjoyed this presentation. I hope that it's made sense. And if you're ever in the Cayman Islands and you're a CrossFitter, please come see us at CrossFit 7 Mile. Thank you very much.